There are places in your life that you visit once and can never forget. And you keep asking yourself, what took you so long to visit this beauty land? My name is Vivek, and I'm here to show you Monshau, a hidden gem in Western Germany. They say that to find something old, you have to lose something modern. We are driving through the High Fens, a sprawling, elevated plateau where Germany collides with Belgium. This isn't a landscape designed for speed. It's an ancient shield of volcanic rock and peat bogs, iron-grey skies, and a mist so thick it feels like driving through someone else's memory. Sometimes the fog lifts, and you're treated to the rolling ridges of the northern Eifel Nature Park. It's beautiful, threateningly beautiful. The kind of landscape that makes you realize humans were never meant to build highways here. But tucked inside one of these jagged tectonic fractures is a town that time simply forgot to clear away. Driving here is a masterclass in tension. 1 minute you're admiring a scenic valley, and the next you're blindly steering a 2-ton metal box into a cloud, praying that whatever is on the other side has a mutual respect for physics. You don't just travel to Monshau, you descend into it. You surrender your cellular signal, you trust the asphalt, and you let the valley swallow you whole. Step 1 foot into the old center, and the modern world is officially dead. This is Monshau, or if you were a French soldier under Napoleon, Monjoie. For 300 years, this place hasn't changed its layout. Look at these buildings. These aren't modern replicas built for tourists. These are authentic, centuries-old, half-timbered giants. They lean over the narrow alleys like ancient gossips, their slate roofs glistening under the grey European sky. And then there are the cobblestones. Every single street is paved with stones that were apparently carved by an angry medieval blacksmith whose sole mission was the total eradication of human knees. I filmed walking shots on every single street in this town. By hour 3, my cinematic slow-motion walk wasn't a creative choice. It was a tactical necessity. I wasn't meditating on history. I was actively negotiating with my joints to keep my upright. But you have to appreciate why it's still here. Monshau sits inside a throat of the Ruhr River Valley, surrounded by sheer slate cliffs. It's so isolated that when wars tore through Europe, when artillery flattened the surrounding cities, the tanks and marching armies literally bypassed this gorge. It was too narrow, too hidden, too difficult to conquer. Isolation is a brutal thing in winter, but historically speaking, is the only reason these 300 houses are still standing. To understand the origins of this valley, you have to look up. Way up, high above the slate rooftops, sits Burg Monschau. This is like an old castle. At least what's left of it. But it looks pretty cool. The first mention of this fortress dates back to the year 1198. It was built by the Dukes of Limburg to secure their territory in the wild Eifel forests. Later, in the 15th century, the Dukes of Jülich took over, turning it into a fortified palace. It looks completely unassailable. It looks like the kind of place where kings slept soundly while the peasants froze below. But history has a habit of humbling the arrogant. In 1543, Emperor Charles V showed up with heavy artillery during the Guelders Wars. He besieged the mountain, smashed the defenses, and plundered the town below. After that, the castle slowly fell into ruin, its stone cannibalized by locals who needed to patch up their chicken coops. Today, in a bizarre twist of modern irony, this fierce, blood-soaked medieval stronghold has been converted into a youth hostel, where teenagers eat cereal under battlements where men once poured boiling oil on their enemies. Standing up here on the castle mountain, you realize the layout of the town is a physical map of medieval survival. The houses down there are clustered tightly together along the river bend like a flock of sheep hiding from a wolf. And the wolf was anyone coming over the ridge. But Monschau's true golden age wasn't built by knights in armor. It was built by men with scissors, looms, and an absolute obsession with sheep. In the mid-1700s, this isolated mountain town became, against all geographic logic, a global capital for luxury textiles. And it was all because of one man, Johann Heinrich Scheibler. Scheibler looked at the rough, scratchy wool produced by local Eifel sheep and decided it wasn't good enough. He bypassed the local supply chain entirely, importing ultra-premium merino wool all the way from Spain. But his real stroke of genius lay in the water. The Ruhr River, which cuts right through the town, carries water from the High Fens that is incredibly soft and almost entirely free of lime. Scheibler realized this specific chemical property allowed his dyes to lock into the fabric with an unmatched vibrancy. He invented secret dyeing techniques, and suddenly Monshau clothes became a legendary luxury brand. His fabrics weren't sold to the local farmers. They were exported to the royal courts of Italy, the high societies of Russia, and the elites of the Ottoman Empire. At its peak, Scheibler's operation employed between 4,000 and 6,000 cottage industry weavers scattered across the Eifel Hills. In 1752, he built his ultimate monument, the Rotes Haus, or the Red House. It's a massive 4-story Baroque palace that served as both his family home and his corporate headquarters. One wing was called the Golden Helmet, where he lived in absolute splendor amidst Rococo and Louis XVI furniture. The other wing was called the Pelican, where the global empire was managed. Inside sits a world-famous freestanding staircase carved from solid oak, featuring 21 intricate scenes showing the exact steps of cloth production. All this talk of the 18th century capitalism requires fuel. Right next to Scheibler's palace sits the Café am Roten Haus. Time to sample the liquid history of the valley. Monschauer Senfsuppe, or mustard soup. The idea of a soup made primarily of mustard sounds like a culinary dare, but here it's an art form. The mustard comes from the local historische Senfmühle, a family-run mill down the road that has been using the same heavy stone wheels to cold grind mustard seeds since 1882. Because they don't heat the seeds during grinding, the essential oils are preserved. The soup is incredibly rich, creamy, and finishes with a sharp, nasal clearing kick that instantly wakes up your ancestral memory. It tastes like survival. It's the kind of food designed for people who spend their days washing raw wool in an icy river.
Ja, das war sehr gut. Entschuldigung, was ist Dütchen?
Das ist ein Hörnchen aus Biskuit.
Biscuit?
Ja.
Okay. Kann ich ein Stück haben? Oder so?
Das sind 2 Stück.
Naturally, because I cared more for the local culture than my loss of digestion,
Mit Sahne.
I followed up a bowl of hot mustard cream with a Monschauer Dütchen. This is the town's signature pastry, a tiny delicate sponge cake cone, hand-rolled while still blazing hot from the oven, and filled with a mountain of fresh, sweet whipped cream. Pairing a high-acid savory mustard soup with a delicate dairy pastry is a chaotic flavor profile that would make a Michelin star chef faint. It's a wild culinary pendulum swing from punishingly sharp to overwhelmingly sweet. But out here on the cobblestones is the only thing keeping my existential dread at bay. Monschau's history is a story of people who took the raw, unyielding elements of this valley and forced them into something beautiful. When the textile industry faded in the 19th century because the narrow valley couldn't accommodate massive railroad tracks or modern factories, the town turned to other crafts. For generations, the local Glashütte, the glassworks, maintained a tradition of mouth-blown glass that echoes back to the Roman occupation of the Rhineland. Artisans stood in front of furnaces burning at over 1,000 degrees, using sand, lime, and their own breath to turn liquid earth into fragile works of art. Even the name of this place is a monument to political tug-of-wars. For centuries, it was known by its French name, Monshau. During the Napoleonic era, it was the capital of a French canton. But in 1918, as the smoke of World War I cleared and national identities were aggressively redrawn, the Prussian authorities decided that Monshau sounded entirely too elegant and far too French. By imperial decree, Emperor William II officially changed the name to the distinctly Germanic Monschau. There is one final task before you can leave this valley. You have to climb the other side, the Panorama Trail. If the castle climb was an exercise in historical appreciation, this climb is a lesson in humility. The trail cuts straight up the sheer slate cliff opposite the fortress. They call it a breathtaking view, and they are entirely accurate, because by the time you reach the summit, your lungs are empty, your legs are shaking, and you're seriously questioning every single life decision that led you to this moment. And then you look out. From up here, the noise of the modern world doesn't just fade, it dies completely. You look down at that sea of dark slate roofs, matching the precise, winding curve of the Ruhr River. You see the timber frames that Scheibler built with his textile millions. You see the fortress walls that survived Emperor Charles V. We live in an era of suburban sprawl, strip malls, and identical glass skyscrapers. We have optimized the character completely out of our living spaces. But here, inside this jagged tear in the Eifel Mountains, humanity dug its heels in. They built something that lasted. They preserved a pocket of time wrapped in fog and stone. I think Monshau is one of those places which you cannot miss in your life. I think visiting here makes me feel like I'm in Switzerland, even though I'm in northwestern Germany. And it's quite just like 1 hour drive, like 1.5 hours drive from Düsseldorf. And it's very close to Cologne as well. Yeah, it's got that really old medieval vibes to it with the timber houses. And everything is so peaceful and quiet here that I do not feel like leaving this place today. I'm quite happy that I came here, and it's really amazing. It's quite an underrated place, I think. As you climb back into your car and drive out of the gorge, the mist closes behind you like a curtain over a stage. Monshau vanishes into the grey, but it stays with you in the taste of the mustard, the ache of your muscles, and the quiet realization that the past isn't nearly as distant as we think. Until the next road.